In the first round and 32nd overall pick of the 2012 draft, the Minnesota Twins would select Jose Berrios, a pitcher from Puerto Rico, and throughout the next few years, Berrios would become a top 2 prospect in the Twins organization, while also being a top 100 prospect in all of baseball, entering the 2016 season as the number 19 prospect in all of baseball, before getting ranked even higher at number 16. To say the Twins had high expectations for this guy was an understatement. He was incredibly young, showed a lot of promise in the minor leagues, and by April of 2016, Jose Berrios was a big leaguer. The growing pains were most certainly there in his first season at the big league level, but if he was going to suck, at least it's in a year where the Twins were beyond terrible too, with the team losing over 100 games and finishing in dead last place in the AL Central. 2017 was much better for Berrios. He made 25 starts through over 145 innings and helped the Twins actually sneak into the postseason, just a single year after they only won 59 games in 2016. 2018 then came around and Berrios became an all-star, doing the damn thing again in 2019, throwing 200 innings for the first time in his career, getting named to his second all-star team, and as for the Twins as a team, they were damn good, winning over 100 games along with the AL Central Division, only to then have their season end by the hands of the Yankees again, not winning a single game in the ALDS. In the limited amount of starts and innings he was able to get through in 2020, Berrios was solid, and to start off the 2021 season, Berrios was back to his all-star form, throwing over 120 innings in his first 20 starts for the Twins. But with the Twins not being a good team, with no winning in their near future, they decided to trade Berrios to a Blue Jays team that really wanted pitching. So much so to the point that they traded away their number 2 and 4 prospects to Minnesota for Berrios. Now, yes, they're prospects, but it still seemed like a pretty hefty price for Berrios, who wasn't necessarily an ace. He was a good pitcher and continued to be for the Blue Jays to end the 2021 season, but on top of giving up top prospects for him, he also only had 1 year left before becoming a free agent. Well, the Jays, who apparently really loved Jose Berrios, solved that 1 year left problem rather quickly, signing him to a 7-year, $131 million contract extension that offseason to keep him in Toronto. As for his first full season as a Blue Jay, it wasn't pretty, like at all. It was bad. Berrios easily had the worst year of his career in 2022, pitching to an ERA over 5, and it's not like he didn't pitch a lot either. He made 32 starts and threw over 170 innings. He also gave up the most hits by any American League pitcher with 199, the most earned runs by any American League pitcher with 100. He was allowing a ton of guys on, his strikeout numbers were bad. It was just ugly across the board. Now, although none of that is good to see, especially for a guy who just signed a big contract, there was never a point where I felt like Jose Berrios was going to be an epic bust for the Blue Jays. Is the man an ace? A frontline starter? No, he's not. But he's also damn well not a guy who should have an ERA over 5. He's much better than that. He just had a rough go around in his first full year in Toronto, so it was absolutely no surprise to me at all when he ended up having a good year in 2023. He made 32 starts again for the 5th time in his career, which I don't think gets talked about enough. Berrios has proven to be a guy you can rely on and trust to take the ball every 5 days, and he continued to do that this year, while also putting up much better numbers, pitching to a 3.65 ERA in almost 190 innings. He was really good on an overall strong Blue Jays starting rotation and was going to be pitching some very important innings come October and the postseason. And who would the Jays match up with in the wildcard round? The Minnesota Twins, who would win Game 1 of the series, winning the franchise's first playoff game since 2004. So with the Blue Jays now with their backs against the wall facing elimination, Jose Berrios would take the ball to attempt to hold off his former team, and he did just that. Berrios started off his outing with a punch-out before inducing a double play to end the first. In the second, he'd get a ground out, another strikeout, a single to Correa before getting a liner to end the second. And as for the third, Berrios allowed yet another single, but also struck out the side. That's now 3 scoreless innings. To kick off the fourth, Royce Lewis would work an 8-pitch walk, and then this is where things got weird. Jose Berrios didn't throw a pitch the rest of the game, not because he couldn't, but rather because Blue Jays manager John Schneider decided to take him out. It's not like Berrios' pitch count was high or anything. He had literally only thrown 47 pitches at that point. No runs had scored off of him. He'd struck out 5. I mean, there was zero reason to take him out. Well, that's what most of us probably think. So this obviously makes no sense. Why would they take him out? matchups, numbers, data, that kind of stuff. The next hitter up, Max Kepler, is a lefty, so Schneider decided to take Berrios out of the game and put in Yusei Kikuchi, also a lefty. So because of one left-handed hitter coming up, Schneider took out his starter who was doing well. Now, I have a feeling that this isn't just a John Schneider thing. I'm willing to bet this is something the front office also heavily influenced. I don't believe Schneider just went rogue and decided to make this move on his own. It's of course just like when Rays manager Kevin Cash pulled Blake Snell from Game 6 of the 2020 World Series when he was doing well because of analytics and they didn't like the matchups and him facing the order a third time or whatever. The Rays front office definitely had something to do with that move too, though, so I don't think it's that different of a situation here with the Blue Jays in 2023. Just like the Rays' decision to pull Blake Snell in the World Series ended up not working out, Schneider and the Blue Jays pulling Berrios ended up being the death of their season. Yusei Kikuchi, the left-handed pitcher, would immediately give up a base hit to Max Kepler, the left-handed hitter, walked Donovan Solano to load up the bases before giving up an RBI single to Carlos Correa. The Twins would only get one more run out of that inning, but that was all they needed. In fact, they didn't even need that second run, eventually winning the game in the series 2-0, Minnesota's first playoff series win since 2002. A lot of the talk is of course going to be about Schneider pulling Jose Berrios when he likely shouldn't have. Even the players voiced their frustration, with Whit Merrifield literally telling the media that he hated the move, but did add on that it wasn't what cost them the game. So yeah, it ended up costing them somewhat, but you can't put all the blame on that move. I'd put more of the blame on the Blue Jays offense not bothering to show up all day and really for the entire series, scoring just one run combined in both games, getting shut out in Game 2. Some hitting would have helped out, and that deserves most of the blame for the Jays having their season end so quickly and the postseason for the second straight year. With that said, you have every right to criticize John Schneider's move in the 4th inning. Personally, it doesn't make much sense to me. He was at under 50 pitches thrown, was doing well, striking guys out. I mean, who cares if Kepler was the next hitter up? He faced him earlier in the game and got him out. I just feel like it's very unnecessary and too much micromanaging. So how painful must this be for Jose Berrios? He's facing his former team in the playoffs, doing well, gets taken out unnecessarily early, and then has to watch his team give up 2 runs helplessly from the dugout. Absolutely nothing he could do about it. And after the game, while all of his Blue Jay teammates packed everything up and headed into the clubhouse, Berrios stayed kneeling at the top step of the dugout looking on as the Twins celebrated, just taking it all in. Brutal. Just absolutely brutal. So Jose Berrios gets traded away from the Twins and then 2 years later is forced to watch helplessly as the Twins win their first playoff series in over 2 decades, beating the team he's on now, the Blue Jays, in the process after he was taken out of the game for no true valid reason. The picture of Squidward looking out at SpongeBob and Patrick having the time of their lives has never been more relatable to a baseball player. The Blue Jays may have failed at hitting this postseason, and that is the biggest reason why they won't be playing any more games until 2024, but don't get it mistaken. The Blue Jays also failed Jose Berrios, and it's gonna sting all winter. Let me know what you think. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.